Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. For those of you who maybe already watched some of our previous webinars, maybe you already know me, I'm Stefano, but if you never saw any of those, but you're watching this one now you know me. So today we're going to be talking about, and today's webinar is going to be about customizing a preset template on Website X5. I'm going to be showing you the software in a moment. But before starting, I just want to wait like a couple minutes to make sure that everybody can get in just fine. So if you can see and hear me correctly, please just let me know in the chat. You should find the chat on the right side of the screen. So if you can, just give me a feedback on whether or not you can hear and see me just fine. Let's see. Just a couple minutes and then we can go. Let's see. Okay, Duncan, yeah, got you fine. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Let me just wait for a couple more feedback so I know that everybody is ready to go. Could do with a little bit of light on your face. Yeah, I wish I could do that too, but unfortunately this is the light I have to deal with. It's okay. Okay, I mean, my face is not really the important part here. We're going to be moving to the software in a second. So yeah, okay, I guess you can see and hear me just fine. Okay, that's perfect. Well, as I just said, today we're going to be talking about how to customize a preset template. So we're talking about the kind of situation when you're working with the software. Maybe you're starting a new project up. You don't want to start right at the beginning, but you want to start with something that we already made for you. One of our templates, one of those we are offering in the software. So yeah, usually when you start a new project, if it's blank, let's say if it's blank, you can start building it just as you want. But in case you're starting from a preset template, you might need a few directions on where to change some stuff or what to take care of first. So yeah, that is what we're going to be talking about today. It's like the basics of customizing a preset template. I'm going to be talking about different sections of the software. I'm going to take very small break after each section of the software. So if you have any question at all about what I just talked about or what you just saw, maybe you have some doubts, you have any kind of question, just let me know. I'm going to be checking the chat regularly to make sure that everything I've said makes sense. Let's say that. Okay, so that being taken care of, I guess we can move on to the software. I'm just going to be showing the screen to you. Okay. You should see the software correctly right now. So yeah, for today's webinar, we've chosen the template called Hello, which, as I said before, is one of the default templates that you can find when you purchase the software. It's completely free and included in Website X5. So if later on you want to be checking this webinar, again, remember it's being recorded on YouTube, and maybe you want to follow it again step by step on your copy of the software, you can do that since you have access to the project as well. So yeah, I'm just going to be showing you what this template looks like when you download it. So this is the template we're going to be working on. It's a one-pager, so it's pretty simple to start with. It's just one big home page. And yeah, as you can see, maybe the first thing that you can notice is that its main theme, talking about colors, is revolving around the color blue or light blue. So we're going to be changing that to a different color, let's say pink. I'm going to be showing you how to do that, and then we're going to be taking a look at a few elements specifically. So yeah, we're going to be starting from step number 2. From here, the first thing we're going to be looking at is the template structure, which is of course very important because the template structure is one of those things that you can customize once, and then the entire project is going to be based upon this. So when you open the template structure section, you can see that you have like a small preview of your website, which shows you how the project is divided. So we're talking header, we're talking sides, we're talking footer, the page content section. So yeah. Since we're going to be talking about colors, the first thing you notice here is that our header has got one solid color, while the footer has another. Since we are going to be focusing on changing the theme from light blue to pink, and we're going to be talking about the header here. Just keep in mind that the footer works exactly the same way. So everything I'm saying about the header can be translated to the footer as well. So as you can see, the header is actually divided into two sections. You have the one called header, which is like the central part, but you can see that the color actually reaches to the sides as well. And this is because if you click like right here on the sides, you can see that this changes to header background. So if you want to set a background for the entire header that goes to the sides of the browser window, you're gonna have to click on the sides right here. And then all I have to do is just click on the color option here and change it to, just like I said before, let's change it to pink. So you can see that the entire color here just changed. If I click on preview real quick, you can immediately see the change. So what's important here, except of course from the part where you just learn how to change the color of your header, is something that you need to be to keep clear at all times. Since we're talking about responsive project, because let's say in modern web design, making a non-responsive website doesn't really make much sense unless you're building like some kind of application specific for a specific company. If you're building a website that is supposed to be browsed by users on computer, tablets, mobile phones, it makes sense to have a responsive website, no doubt. So as you can see here, you have this kind of vertical bar on the left side of the screen, where the first part is highlighted. The fact that this part is highlighted means that every change that I'm going to be applying to the template here is going to be applied only when the user is watching your website through a browser on a screen which is larger than 1150 pixels in width. So if I change this here, but then I check my website on mobile phone, like you can see here, you can see that it goes back to blue. Yeah, the same goes for the tablet, also the phone in landscape mode. But when I go back to the desktop, I can see pink again. So this is due to the fact that you also need to apply these changes, of course, if you want to do so, on lower resolutions as well. So let's say I click right here. You can see that it's blue again. I just click here, and then I switch to pink, and I do the same for every breakpoint. There. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's click there. Okay. So now that every section was customized correctly, if I just launch the preview again and I check every resolution, you can see that it now appears as pink everywhere. So yeah, the important thing to keep in mind here is this. So here you can change the default look of your template, but always remember to do the same for every resolution, or your users are going to be getting like a different experience according to the device they are working on, which in some case might be correct, might be good. But if we're talking about this kind of thing like basic colors, it's very likely you're gonna be wanting every device to show your website the same way. So yeah, this is the important part about the structure. Then we're going to be moving on to the template content, which basically means this is the section where we are going to be customizing the header, the footer, as well as the sidebar, assuming your website has a sidebar active, which in this case we have not. So yeah, we're going to be talking about how to organize objects, how to make sure that every object looks nice on every resolution, So yeah, let's get started. Again, I'm going to be working on the header right now because the footer, as you can see here, works in exactly the same way. So it makes sense to just check this out once and then you can apply the same rules to the footer. So right here we have the menu, which is this one on top. If I launch the preview, you can see it's this one right up here. Then we have the bigger text right in the middle. And then we have another smaller object right here. So just like I said for the template structure before, you again have this bar, this vertical bar on the left side, which means that every change you make is going to be applied to that one resolution only, with the exception that if you place an object in a high resolution, the same object is going to be displayed on lower resolutions as well. So you can see that the menu, the text, and the social icons object is there on every resolution. So first of all, let's take a look at the menu. You can see right here that you have all of the classic options for the menu. So let's say I want to change the color right here. I can do so just like this. I'm going to be picking a different shade of pink. So if I click on preview, you can see that my menu now has a different background color, which of course changes when I hover on every menu item, because that is a different option, of course, which you can do right here. Item on mouse over. I'm just going to be leaving this as black because it looks good. So yeah, the menu is one of those things that I have on the highest resolution and that I get on the lower resolutions as well. Talking about the title object instead, you can see that we have this custom text right now, which I can change at any time. So let's say I'm going to be changing this to pink. I can change the font type, I can change the size, I can change the color. Again, I can change almost anything I want. And if I just click on preview again right here, you can see the change taking place immediately. So in this case, I just changed the text and not its full color or size, because this is, I believe, is very appropriate for the kind of template we're looking at. The same can be said for the social icon objects, which I can customize by changing, for example, the background color again to a similar shade of pink, just like before. You can see right here that everything makes sense together in the end. You can also change the color of these icons to white. Okay, there we go. So yeah, as I mentioned before, when we're talking about the header and footer, it's very important that you keep in mind that you have to reorganize this for every resolution, because this is not and cannot be done automatically by the software. So we have to take care of this. Let's say I want my pink text to appear a little bit higher on a certain resolution. Let's say here, and on the main one, and I just click on preview, you can see that the change happens right away. And also what I can do is, let's say I do not want my social icons object to appear on the lowest resolution. You can do so as well. You have this option right here by right-clicking. No, wait, I'm sorry. You have this option right here where you just click on an object and then you go up here to show and hide. And you get these two useful, very, very useful options right here, which say hide for this viewport or hide for this and subsequent viewports. What does this mean? Essentially, if, let's say, I want the social icons object to only appear at the highest resolution, I can just go to the one immediately next. I click right here and I say hide for this and subsequent viewports, and the object is going to disappear for this resolution, for this one, all of those resolutions except for the main one. So if I click on preview right now, you can see that we have the object here, but as soon as I move to a lower resolution, the object is just gone. So of course, this is very helpful in case, let's say, you have a website which is displayed on a computer screen, which has a lot of space. So you can include many icons, many images, many texts. But when your user is checking out your website from a mobile phone, he's not going to have the same amount of space at his disposal. So it might be very helpful to maybe delete or hide certain objects that are not really that helpful to the user when he's navigating your website on a mobile phone. It's usually much better to provide a lightweight and quick user experience on the mobile phone, while you can add a little more decoration and stuff like that on a computer screen. So this tool is actually very, very important for managing your objects correctly and making sure that what you want to show to your customers, to your users, is only visible in those resolutions where they actually matter. It would make no sense maybe for me to, let's say, I'm just going to be adding an image here. I can add literally whatever image, let's say this one. Then if I launch the preview, you can see that the image appears right here. But if I go to the mobile phone, let's say that there's just not enough space to display this image as well. So I just move to that resolution, I click on the object and I say hide for this viewport. There we go. Now the object is hidden. It's no longer here in the mobile resolution, but if I check on the bigger screen, I can see it right here. So yeah, this is actually very, very important. This is why I wanted to show it to you. Keep in mind that you have this helpful tool as well at your disposal. I'm sure you're going to be making good use of this on the website, since it's just so important. I just can't stress that enough. Of course, I've just shown you how to add an image object to the header. You can do the same in the footer, but you can virtually add any kind of object to your header. One advice I can give you is try not to saturate your header with too much information immediately. Keep in mind that you have all of the page of your website you can fill with content. The header is usually best left like lightweight. Maybe it can contain most of the most important information, maybe navigation for the website. Yeah, just do not overload it. Okay, so we're going to be taking a look at the sticky bar now, and then we're going to have the little break I mentioned before. So if you have any question at all about what I just showed you, you can let me know. So first of all, what's a sticky bar? I'm going to be showing you. So if I take the website now and I start scrolling down, you can see this blue bar that just pops up out of nowhere. And as soon as I reach the top of the website again, it's gone. So that is what is called the sticky bar, which essentially means that as soon as my original header is hidden, this one smaller bar is going to appear so that your user can always have, let's say, the navigation at hand. It does not need to go all the way back to the top of the page to be able to see the menu. So yeah, this bar is, of course, again, very useful. You can find it on most websites. Yeah. So let's say this sticky bar, just keep in mind, again, very important, even though it serves about the same purpose as the header, this is not the header. So every change you've made to the header will stick to that part of the software. But if you want to customize the sticky bar, you have to do that all over again in the sticky bar section. The two things are not really connected, and you need to customize each of those separately. So yeah, I'm going to be changing the color of the bar here as well, so it matches our new theme. Then you have the content section, which, just like you saw before, you have about the same kind of interface, again with different resolution to make sure that the sticky bar looks good on every device. And again, yeah, you have your menu, you have, in this case, your title object. I can change the text right here as well. Let's say sticky bar. Okay, let's make the object a little bit larger so the text fits. If I launch the preview and just scroll down, you can see the text right here now. So yeah, again, sticky bar, you get all of the same kind of tools you add in the header and footer. Very, very helpful to keep the navigation easy to access for your users. So in most cases, you're going to be wanting to use this. Of course, there might be occasions when you do not need one. Maybe if you have a one-pager website, just like in this case where you have no other pages to go to. I mean, you can still use it even if you do not have other pages, because we're using anchors here. So you can see that if I click on any of these menu items, I just go to a different section of the website. But yeah, you're probably gonna want to use this since it's so very useful for user navigation. Okay, so we're going to be taking the first very short break here. If you have any kind of questions on what I've said up till now, I'm just going to be checking the chat for a moment. Let's see if there's any doubt on this. Okay, I see a message asking, is there no feature to change all by one click? I assume you're talking about the template structure right here. No, there's not. You need to change and apply the changes to every resolution, because you have the chance of customizing each resolution differently. So if the changes were copied on every resolution automatically, you would have no chance of modifying, let's say, a certain resolution to look different from another. Of course, this is something that might be helpful. So it is possible that something like this may be featured inside the software, but at the moment, no, you just have to do this manually here and also in the template content section. All of these objects need to be placed and organized manually, because compared to the main page of the website, which is built using a grid system, which of course makes it very easy for the software to know how to organize objects, the header and footer usually do not really follow a grid structure, so you can place the objects wherever you want. The only downside to this is that the software, of course, has no way of knowing how you want to organize your objects. Let's say that in the smaller resolution, I don't want my menu to be here, but I want it to be right here. There would be no way for the software to know that I want that. So I just have to do that manually in order to get the exact result I need. So let's see. Okay, so another question asking working area. I assume you're asking me about what this button here right does. So it's just like for changing colors and grid size, which, yeah, this is what changes essentially. It's like if you prefer working on a darker environment or a lighter environment, it doesn't really change the way any of this works specifically. Okay, so I think we can move on to the next part. So now we're going to be taking a look at the text field and button style. So what does this section do exactly? Of course, if you want to insert texts, you want to insert buttons, you want to insert links and fields on your website, you're going to have the chance of modifying the font size, the font weight, the font color, and all of that stuff specifically for each text or button you're going to be adding. But that being said, since it's always very important to keep in mind that it's usually like a good rule to keep the style of your website as coherent as possible, it makes sense to prepare like a few presets for your fonts, so that on the entirety of your website you don't have like 50 different kind of fonts or 50 different shade of colors. It usually makes sense to just have a few, like 2 or 3, and then keep the style the same on the entire website. So this is what this section is for. Assuming you do not want to customize each text object or each button or each title separately, you have a series of situations here, like page title, page path headings, page text, links, and stuff like that. You can just customize everything right here, and you are sure that on your website, every text which does not feature like some kind of specific customization is going to be respecting what you configured here. So for example, let's say let's see what we have here. Like we have a blue text right here, which is in bold too. So I assume this text is like a heading 2. So if I click on heading 2, which of course means that every text marked as heading 2 inside the website is going to have this font family, this size, this color. Let's say I want to change this to pink, just like we did before. And let's change it for the heading 4 as well. Okay, so I just changed the color for these two. You can see that if I launch the software preview, I can immediately see the change, because this change is going to be applied, just like I said before, on every text which is marked as an heading 2 inside the website. So it's very, very easy to change the color of text, the size of texts on the entire website without having to navigate each page separately and having to do that for every text objects you have. That would take a really, really long time. So it makes sense to have like a central section where you can take care of this much more easily. So yeah, that goes for the headings, but that goes for the links as well. That goes for buttons, that goes for fields. I can even change the color of the text for the entire website, but I'm going to be leaving this as black right now because I think most of the text fits that color. So yeah, in short, everything you change here is going to be changed on the entirety of the website. Again, very, very helpful so that you don't have to navigate and check every page when you want to make like a major change, like color theme, just like I'm doing here. Change buttons and links as well. So let's give the preview a quick go again. You can see this text changed as well. The link changed as well. It's now pink. Same here. Same here. Okay. So yeah, again, very helpful just for that, so that you don't have to navigate the entire project every time you want to change something like this. Then we can move on to the tooltip right here. For those of you who do not know what a tooltip is, this can be especially helpful when like you have some kind of element in your website which you believe requires additional explanation about what it does or what it is. If you enable the tooltip on any element, this means that as soon as I hover an element with the mouse, this little thingy here is going to be appearing, providing further description or explanation about what I'm looking at. So again, just like the rest of the stuff I showed you before, you can change the font type, you can change the font size, you can make it bold, you can do whatever. Yeah, you can add the tail. There's just a lot you can customize here. Let's change the color as well to match our palette. Okay, then just for convenience, I'm going to be adding a tooltip on the About Me text right here. I open up this text object, I highlight this text, then we click here and place a tooltip which says this is a test tooltip. Let's start the preview. You can see right here, as soon as I hover above this element, I get the tooltip I mentioned before. So again, this option right here for tooltips, you can customize this, and the tooltip will be displayed the same on the entire website. Again, it's very, very helpful to keep your website coherent with its style, which is like a good rule for every website, not to have too much stuff differ from one another as far as colors, sizes, text styles, stuff like that is concerned. So yeah, I believe that is about all for step number 2. So again, okay, if you have any questions about these two options right here, we just saw, this is the second small break. Let's see if you have any question on this. Let's see. I don't actually see any questions on this specifically, so I'm just going to assume that everything I said is perfectly clear. Of course, some of you might already know this stuff, but I mean, I believe it's always good to review what we know already. And of course, in case you didn't know what I'm showing you right now, I sure hope this is going to be helpful to you once you start building your new website, or when you go back to editing a website you might have already started previously. So now I'll say we can move to step number 4. Okay, yeah, first of all, just because maybe you did not notice that yet, but we're working with the latest version of Website X5, which now features this small preview for images and galleries in the grid system. So you can see right here that you get this small preview of what image you used here. I believe this is actually very, very helpful, because when you did not have this preview right here, you had to look at the grid and you kind of had to guess at what point a certain element you were looking for was. But if you have this preview right here, it helps you, it gives you a better idea of where exactly you are on the page. So it's easier to know, okay, yeah, I wanted to change that text specifically, which is after that one image. I can immediately see that the image is this one, so I know that the text is the one right below it. So this is one important change that you might not have noticed before, but it's like it's on by default on the newest versions. So now since I was talking about images, let's take a look at images now. Specifically, let's take a look at this one. So yeah, just like you could before, of course, if you click on the icon right here, you access the new file browser window, which allows you to select images from your computer. You can select images from external sources. We have images that you can purchase, or we have free images as well, like the ones I'm showing using here. Then you can also use images from an external URL. Maybe if you want to feature an image which is actually on a different website, or maybe you uploaded that separately from your project, so the image is on your server but not inside the project. And then of course you have the library, which features all of the images you've already used inside the project, in case you want to, let's say, I want to grab a different image real quick, like this one. I've used it before, so it's already inside the project. You can see that it immediately appears. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the one right here. I changed the wrong image here. So this one. Let's do that again. Okay. So you can see the image immediately changes right here. Also, what's important to notice here is that you can see that the image has been cropped to fit this style. This is something that you can do with any image. You can swap the part of the image that you want to display. And what we're actually using here is what's called a mask, which you can find right here, which are like these cutouts of images that you can apply to anything to give your website a special look. So let's say I want to change to that one. You can see that the image already changed its style. Not only that, if you want, you can also add your own image mask right here. So that's something you can do in case you wanna. Yeah, there we go. You can see the image changes right away to fit the style you needed. Of course, apart from that, again, talking about images, you also have the effects section right here, which allows you to perform small animations on images, which might be helpful in some cases to draw the user's attention to certain elements, let's say like fading right. So as soon as I open my website, the image is going to be coming in from the right side. Of course, we have many different effects you can choose from. It depends on the style of your website. I believe this one is okay for the website we're taking a look at right now. Also, you can remember that you can enable lazy loading for your images, which, just like it says right here, the object is loaded only when it becomes visible on the page. Of course, since loading images on the website is a very intensive task, if we're talking about internet connection, it might be helpful to enable this so that you're sure that if you have a very big page with many images, these images are only loaded when necessary, so the page doesn't take too long to load. This is something that it's very good to keep in mind because it can dramatically improve the speed of your websites, especially if you have many images on a single page. So right now we talked about images which are like on the foreground of the website, but keep in mind that you can also customize the background of the website. So except for this color pink right here, which belongs to the template structure, you can see that we have like a dark background here, then we have a background image right here. And this, of course, was not done on the template structure section, but this can actually be done by going to the row format section right here. So in this section, you can customize the background of your rows of content. So just like you saw before, this image right here that I placed right here, we have like this dark background, which you can see is reflected right here. So let's say I want to change this background to be like white. I can just do so here. And you can see that the entire background just changed. The same goes for the row below, which is now using an image that I can change at any time. So let's see. Let's say I want to, just a moment, okay. Let's say I want to use a different image like this one right here. Just select this one, wait for the software to download it. Now it's available. So if I just launch the preview, you can see that the image right here just changed. You can do images, you can do videos, you can do galleries, you can do maps. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can actually use as a background. You can just choose whatever you want. In this case, it was an image. Of course, if you're using an image or any element similar to this, you can also make use of the overlay and parallax functionality. So overlay basically just means that you can apply like some kind of color overlapping your image. So if I want to, let's say, make it a little bit darker, I can just increase this value over here. And you can see that the image is immediately darker. And of course, I can also make it lighter. And the image is going to be displayed in brighter colors. The same again can be done with the parallax effect, which I can enable right here. So in case you are not really sure what parallax is, it's like this effect that when you are scrolling the page, your images or other elements like this kind of seem to be scrolling on a different layer or on a different level from the rest of the website, giving you this really cool effect. You can see where the image is going up as the website is going down. You have different kinds of parallax effect that you can use. In this case, you can see that the image remains still while the website scrolls down. You can see the image remains in place. So this is something you can apply to any background of your website. So the overlay and the parallax effect. So the last thing we're going to be taking a look at today is something that is very well summed up right here. So you can see that we have like this blue bar right here. We're going to be editing that because for every object you have, of course, you can double click on it and then change the text inside. You can change the font, the content, and all of that stuff. But you can also actually select an object and then click on the style button right here. So this section opens up, and right here you can customize the background color from the object. You can customize if you want a background image for your object. In this case, we're going to be sticking to the color background. You can change the border for the object. So in this case, you can see that we've applied a blue border on the left side. If I click right here, this is the border that is being shown only on the left side. I can change the color for this as well. There we go. So if I click on preview, you can see that the color now fits the entire theme. I can also add text. Let's say this is a title. If I click on preview, like this little text appears right above my object. I can also add an image. I can add a description, like this is a description. You can see that this small black bar appears at the bottom, delivering a description of the object. I can also have this description only appear when I hover with the mouse over the object, so like right here. You can apply a link to this. So if I want my user to be able to navigate somewhere else when he clicks on the description, I can do that. Of course, I can again change the color just like I could before. You can see right here that the color has changed. All of this just to make sure that you keep your style as coherent as possible. We can do the same right here in the object below. Then click OK, and then we launch the preview again, and the color changed right here. We can just continue and do this in the rest of this on the entire project to reach the result we need. Just one minor thing to keep in mind when working with the style section for the object specifically. The style section is meant to be used only on high resolutions. This means that when you are configuring your website for the smallest resolution, the one that goes on mobile phones, most of these options here, like the border, are not going to be displayed for the exact same reason I was talking about earlier in the beginning, when I mentioned that when you're working on the mobile version of your website, it is always best to keep the style as simple as possible, not too much decorative stuff, just the essential. Because when browsing a website on a mobile phone, what most users want is ease of use. It must be simple to navigate. It must be lightweight. When they're checking a website from a computer, it's okay to provide more decoration, more like nice stuff here and there. You can make your website as pretty as you want, but that should not be your objective when working on the mobile version. Just keep it simple, keep it fast, keep it lightweight, and that is going to be the main focus when you're working on the mobile version of your website. So there we go. You can see that we changed a lot on the website. The style is completely different from before. Like the generic design is still there, but we were able to change most of the theme very, very quickly with just a few options. Okay, I guess that is about it. So since we are done with the main topics, I'm just going to be checking again if you have any question on anything I've shown you right now. So let's see. Oh, I see. I speak German. The spoken is too fast for me. Do not worry. If for any reason you lost a part of my explanation, this webinar is going to be available on YouTube even after it's over. So if you need to go over any part of the webinar, you can just do so later at your own pace. You can rewatch any part I've shown. For your convenience, you can find the video on the Incomedia profile at any time. Okay, so I see another question asking, would you repeat how to add a mask? Of course I can. So if you just go inside any image object you have, you get this cool little edit button right under the image. If you click here, you have several customization options. You have filters, you have watermarks, you have frames, you have effects. Since you asked about masks, I'm going to be focusing on that part right here. There's a section called mask that presents you with a list of chosen masks to choose from. Of course, all of these were already inserted into the software by us, but you can add any mask you want. You have the options right on top. There's already, let's say there's already many here that you can start using immediately, but of course anyone might want to just use their own masks. And all you have to do is select one of these, just click OK, and the mask is applied automatically. Very easy, very quick to do, nothing too complex about this. And I believe this also, this creates a very, very cool effect on the website. Personally, I love masks. It makes it so easy to deliver a certain style to the website without having to customize the original image directly. You can just put whatever image you want, and the mask will do the rest. So yeah, very, very, very cool effect. Okay, that being said, let's see if you have any other question for me. Can you show the difference when I choose expense side? If by expense side you mean the different resolutions, you can just click here and you can see how the website changes. You can see that this image went down to the bottom on mobile phone. And just as I said before, you can see that you have like this sidebar right here. But as soon as you go to the mobile version of the website, the bar is gone. Because yeah, we're reducing the amount of details in favor of having a more lightweight and easier to navigate website. So let's see if you have any other questions. I don't see any right now. Well, I mean, that's always good to see, because when there's no question, I always assume that I did a fantastic job and everything is very, very clear. There's no doubt at all. I hope this is the case, of course. But let's say if you have any questions, maybe you just can figure out the question right now, but you have a question later on, just keep in mind that you can always let us know about any question you have through our official channels, which are like the email address, you have our phone number, you have our official help center website that you can visit if you want any kind of advice, or if you have any kind of problem. You can interact with the rest of the community, or you can interact with me and my colleagues as well. So yeah, I believe that is about all I had to show you for today. Yeah, of course, as I said at the beginning, I hope this was helpful to you. Maybe if you knew all of this stuff already, it's always good to go over everything again. Maybe you forgot a part, maybe you forgot you had a certain functionality that you can use, which you are going to be using now. And well, if you learn something new, that's cool as well. So yeah, I guess that is it for today. Thank you for joining me for today's webinar, and hopefully I'll see you to the next one. Thank you very much again, and have a nice day.